I think before going to bed tonight, I ought to put the record straight. There's a debate going on with Mahyar Tousi, Tommy Robinson, and Benjamin Butterworth. Benjamin Butterworth was a regular guest on GB News. He's now a presenter in his own right. Mahyar Tousi has an incredibly successful YouTube channel, and Tommy Robinson was arrested by the police the other side of the weekend on Friday or Saturday for going to Crystal Palace to celebrate his daughter's birthday. He defended himself in court on Monday and has been released. And Benjamin Butterworth, in a discussion, mentions I think he confuses the activities of Paludin, the Swedish or the Nordic anyway, the Nordic fellow who burns copies of the Quran with Tommy Robinson. But the spirit of Tommy Robinson, the anti-Islamic spirit of Tommy Robinson, is quite correctly identified by Benjamin. And I think Mahyar doesn't fully recognize that fact and is going for a sort of quick fix here. And I think he's right that GB News has taken against Tommy Robinson. I think Tommy Robinson doesn't make himself very many friends. At the same time, I worry about the arrests of Tommy Robinson. I'm not defending Tommy. I don't think he's somebody I would particularly like, but and the book he's co-written, I presume that means ghosted. It's been ghostwritten for him. The book he's co-written about the Quran is just poppycock. One of the things he talks a great deal about 100 verses, and 100 verses out of 6,236 verses, and particularly when the Quran says very clearly that verses should not be plucked out of context, should not be cited randomly. When the Quran talks about fighting and about a war code, which you'll also find incidentally in the Old Testament, it's talking about a nation fighting for survival, liberating a nation under threat. It's talking about responding to people who have reneged on a peace treaty. It's talking very firmly about never attacking the innocent, and anyone who does attack the innocent must be stopped. And that's why I was so confident that the Arab nations would join with Israel to defeat Hamas and to put Hamas back in its place and to persuade Hamas to take a political role rather than a military role, to abandon the bomb and the gun. This wasn't the way that Netanyahu wanted to proceed. I think Netanyahu was wrong. I also think, just to make the record very clear, that Hamas is wrong. Utterly wrong. And I'm not going to be an apologist for Hamas in any way, or for any of the various movements, the various guerrilla movements that are active in Gaza, a nest of vipers. But the decision by Netanyahu to single-handedly raze Gaza to the ground, this collective punishment, is likely to breed more guerrilla sympathizers than to extinguish that flame. Netanyahu is the greatest recruiting officer, I'm afraid, for Hamas and its like. And within that context, I think Tommy Robinson doesn't help. The inflamed rhetoric, and then the twits who repeat the sort of some words, sentences, phrases which they've gleaned from Robinson rhetoric. These people, have they read the Quran? And I don't mean have they read some silly translation which is doctored, or I've even seen books that in English that list all the war code verses. Islam is a complex religion which, like Judaism and like Christianity, incidentally, sees its code of practice as being a way of life, not something you do at the weekend. We've emasculated religion in many ways in the West. We see it as something that you take on a Sunday and put off on a Monday. That's not Judaism. That's not Islam. And until very recently, that's not Christianity. And I think Tommy is utterly wrong. I think Benjamin is much closer to the mark in calling him out and calling out the attempts to silence others, the attempts to destroy what good Islam is doing. I think we need to look again at the positives, and I think we need to. Well, Amazon doesn't sell Tommy Robinson's book with good reason, because it's trash. But I think Tommy needs to sit down with somebody who really knows what they're talking about and have a proper discussion. And then he perhaps needs to write another book or get somebody to ghost another book for him, because I think Tommy's got some explaining to do and some fixing to do, and he can repair some of the damage that he's causing. And Mahyar needs to contextualize these comments, because this sort of objective slagging off, it's entertaining, but it's not helpful in the current crisis. And I entirely agree with Mahyar that Tommy Robinson has been victimized by the system, and it doesn't look good. It certainly doesn't look good in the context of the victimization of Alexei Navalny and Kara-Murza and those many political prisoners in Russia who are held on spurious grounds. So, in a funny sort of way, I'm trying to make a case both for Tommy Robinson and against him. I think I'm failing. I think Tommy, as I say, needs to sit down and do some serious work to repair the damage that he has caused. Perhaps not intentionally. I don't think he's fundamentally a bad boy, but he commands attention, and somebody who commands attention can do some good, and it's high time he did. And I don't think he's badly disposed, but I think he has done some harm, and it's time now for him to do some good. And simply silencing somebody doesn't help that process. He needs to sit down and have a discussion.